Hey legends, welcome along to a new episode of Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart, and we're doing a little chat. Is that even proper England? Doing a little chat. We're having a little chat in this episode about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, episode 1 in season 3, entitled Anne. And honestly, I still can't get my head around that this came out way back in 1998. That just seems like yesterday to me. Anyway, let's get into the episode. So guys, welcome along to the show. In this episode, of course at the end of season 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she had the showdown with Angelus, I should say, and the Scooby Gang managed to recurse him with his human soul, but too late to stop the demon Acaphala, and Buffy had to kill Angel at the end of the episode and basically send both him and Acaphala back to hell, or the hell dimension that Angelus was trying to suck the earth into. So at the end of the episode and the season, Buffy, after losing the love of her life and having a major fallout with her mother, decided to leave Sunnydale. As well as that, she was expelled from school as well, so she pretty much, in that last two-parter, she lost absolutely everything that she cared about. So in season 3 we pick up, between the seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it always seems to be, they're picking up after like the summer holidays sort of thing. It's never school is starting again. That's sort of like the way season 2 started, and indeed that's where season 3 is starting again. But of course Buffy is expelled. She's not going to be in school even if she was there. There's two stories we're really following in this episode. It's what's happening to Buffy, where she's at this stage of her life, and we're following separately the Scooby Gang, Giles and Willow and Xander, and the most the most interesting for me story in this episode was indeed Buffy's story. So Anne picks up in Los Angeles. That's where Buffy has gone to. She's working at a little diner under the name Anne, which we find out later in the episode is her middle name. So she's running away. She's got herself a job, and she's trying to survive on her own, and she's basically, she's in like a deep depression in this episode after everything that happened in season 2, and it's a fairly strong episode. I really did enjoy this one. This was it was written and directed by Joss Whedon, and absolutely fantastic. Let me see where I'm at in my notes. As usual, I have gotten lost. In LA, Buffy, in the restaurant where she's working at, she serves a couple, Lily and Ricky. They're living in the streets. There's a lot of that in this episode. You see a lot of the homeless, and there's a few people that Buffy bumps into, older people that keep saying, I'm nobody. But this couple that she serves in the diner, they've just got this matching set of tattoos. It's like the love heart. Only Lily has half the heart on her arm, and Ricky has the other half of the heart on his arm, and it's like, they're going to be together forever, young love, and yes, Buffy kind of just leaves, and there's a dream sequence at the beginning of the episode that this encounter with these two reminds her of. In the opening, we see her standing on the beach, and Angel comes up and puts his arms around her. Middle of daytime, so obviously Angel was a vampire. He would have burst into flames if he had him on a beach in the middle of the daytime. So straight off the bat, it's a dream sequence, and it's just this guilt is following Buffy about in a major way. And in the dream, it's like, I'm going to be here forever for you, even I'm never going to leave you even if you kill me, sort of thing. So she's dreaming about a perfect life with Angel, but at the same time, even in the dream itself, there's Angels beating their reality into her of what happened. It's all subjective at the end of the day. You can pick up your own stuff out of these episodes, and a lot of people see the one episode and get a lot of different stuff out of it, but there was always that connection with Buffy and Angel. Even in season 2, when Angel became bad, he did pop up in a few dreams as the good Angel, kind of pointing her in the right direction. So it's on brand. And yes, when Buffy again meets Lily and Ricky, and this matching tattoo set, and they're like, we're going to be together forever, it just harkens back to that dream that she had of Angel, and she kind of just gets out of the restaurant to get away from the situation. As Buffy's walking home that night, a homeless woman she's muttering that I'm no one. That's the start of it. And later that evening, Lily, the girl from the restaurant, approaches Buffy and reveals she remembers her from Sunnydale, and a time when she was known as Chanterelle. And that harkens back to a previous episode where we had like the gosh, I'm really just blanking on the name of the episode now. It was the one where Buffy's childhood friend turned up, and he was part of a cult that worshipped vampires. Well, this girl, Chanterelle / Lily, was part of that cult, that vampire worshipping cult, and she remembers Buffy from that episode. And Buffy was the sort of person that is there to help people. So she approaches Buffy in the street, explains this all to her, and as they're walking, a man bumps through the two of them, and he mutters, I'm no one. So that's like the second person that said that. As he walks out into the traffic, he nearly gets hit by a car, only to be saved by Buffy's quick response, and she gets knocked down by the car herself after knocking him out of the way. But she's the Slayer after all. It's going to take a heck of a lot to hurt her, really put her down, and like this accent wasn't enough to do that. So people are running out into the street to help her up, and they're going to call an ambulance and whatnot, and she's like, I need to go, and she like runs away off, and she bumps into this guy called Ken, who comments on the lost state that he sees her in, and he offers to befriend her, and he gives her this leaflet to like a hostel sort of a thing. But he's he sees her, she's in her uniform for the diner, and he's like, you can obviously look after yourself, but financial stuff isn't the only thing that we offer. It's he's pushing it like a religious sort of a deal. But Buffy takes the leaflet anyway, and she's like, I'm fine, and walks off and leaves him. Next day, Lily again turns up to Buffy at the diner this time, and tells her that Ricky has disappeared, and she needs Buffy's help to try and find him. But Buffy is just like, after everything that's happened to her, everything she's been through, she just wants to be left alone, live her life, just forget about everything. She just wants to do her job, go home, mope in her little apartment at the end of the day. But she reluctantly agrees to help find him. And in the search, they split up, they checked blood banks and whatnot, and Lily and Ricky went to this blood bank that you can donate blood, you get money for it, and as Lily says, they've got good cookies. They split up, and while they're searching, Buffy actually finds the body of an elderly homeless man with the tattoo on his arm, the exact tattoo that Ricky had. So Buffy reports the findings back to Lily, who doesn't believe the body could be Ricky's. But on the streets, she runs out. She just doesn't want to believe it. And on the street, she meets this guy, Ken, again, who claims to know Ricky. So she eagerly goes with him. And Buffy then goes back to the blood bank they were in earlier and interrogates the blood bank worker who has been acting suspiciously, and learns that the woman has been given this guy Ken, she's been giving him the names of healthy homeless people who come in to donate blood with them. Meanwhile, Ken has prepared Lily for a cleansing. That's almost, again, it's like a cult, a religious cult set up, which this cleansing entails stepping into a bath, and the floor, it's got like this black liquid in it. Lily hesitates because it just looks like black oil. At the door, Buffy attempts to pass herself off as a sinner wanting a new chance, but ends up kicking her way into the building just in time to see Lily getting dragged into the pool. Buffy and Ken wrestle, and they both fall in, and coming out below into a huge factory. So when they fall into this pool of black stuff, it's actually a portal to another realm, and on the other side, the black oil is on the roof, and they fall out from it, and it's a factory, and Ken's human mask falls off, revealing him to be a demon. Buffy and Lily are now amongst many other slave labourers of varying ages. Varying? They're all different ages. That doesn't sound right. Like, I'm sure I said varying properly, but it just doesn't sound right. I'm tired. Sorry, guys. Ken tells Buffy and Lily that they are in a hell dimension where time passes extremely quickly. 100 years there equals only one day in LA. Now that fact is going to play big into an upcoming episode. I'm not going to spoil it for you in this one. So, if you haven't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer before, you don't know where this is going. I do know where it's going in a rough way. Like, I'm really, really going by memory at this point. Like, I'm watching the episodes before I do these podcasts, but I'm literally, as far the next episode afterwards, throughout season 3, I'm really, really trying to remember where it goes to, but I do know for a fact that time passing differently in one dimension than it does in the other plays big into an upcoming episode. So they're in a hell dimension. This guy Ken, who's a demon, running some sort of a factory, and he's like, time passes very quickly here. 100 years here equals only one day in Los Angeles. So they're working in a factory. That's a hell dimension. In real life, my full-time job is in a factory, and it's actually the other way about. Time goes so much slower in the factory than what it does outside the factory. It seems like I'm there forever. I know where you're coming from, guys. It sucks. So this guy Ken, since he only picks people who are, they're the homeless, and they're young and they're strong, nobody's going to miss them. These guys, they'll be able to work themselves, used right up to old age, as soon as they're heading for their deathbed. Essentially, they work them until they can get no more work out of them, and then they spit them back out of the hell dimension into Los Angeles again. So, they'll do a lifetime's worth of work before anybody actually realises that they're missing from LA. So, yes, he tells... This is where the I'm no one comes from as well, because in this dimension, as soon as they get there, this guy Ken has got these demons going up to the new people and asking their names, and he's like, who are you? And somebody will say, I'm Dave, and the demon will kick a shit out of them and ask them the question again, who are you? And they just learn quickly then that the answer is, I'm no one. So that's why throughout the episode leading up to this, Buffy was coming across old people in the streets that were just like, I'm no one, just they're completely broken. They've lived an entire life, and they get through out of this hell dimension back into Los Angeles, and then realise that, my goodness, there's only like barely a day has passed here. I'm old, I'm just about to die. It's a scary concept. So he tells Lily that Ricky remembered her even after he had forgotten his own name. Lily resigns herself to ending up in hell and accepting her fate passively. Very, very quickly breaks her spirits. This guy Ken, he's a piece of work. So yes, he just I knew Ricky. He was here and he remembered you his entire life until his mind started to go and he'd forgotten his own name. He was still asking for you. So this girl has gotten her heart broken completely, and she's just like, I'm here. This is it. There's nothing else for me. But during the asking of names, of course, people are like, what's your name? They're answering with their name, getting the shit beat out of them until they say, I'm no one. Of course, they get to Buffy. She's here as well. And who are you? And Buffy does this little sly grin, and you see the change in her. She's been rejecting the Slayer throughout this entire episode. She just wants to run away from her commitments as the Slayer. But in this moment, she realises, okay, this is who I am. This kicks some ass. So it's like, who are you? She grins. She's like, I'm Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. And she starts a massive fight with these demons. The choreography in this fight sequence in this episode is absolutely brilliant. It's so well done. And the intro for season 3 and on, you'll see a lot of cuts from this episode on there. Anyway, the fight happens, and Buffy gets Lily to try and get some of the prisoners out, back up to the portal, get them out of this hell dimension. But in doing that, Lily gets captured by Ken, who brings her in with a knife to her throat, and she's like, and there's a lot of prisoners still down there that actually don't get out. Not everybody gets saved in this episode. Buffy has been fighting like easily 10 different guys at this point, and Ken stops the fight by bringing Lily in with a knife to her throat, and he's like, if one fights back, everybody's going to die, sort of thing. He's putting it on Buffy. If you don't toe the line, this girl dies, and we'll take out a lot of our people as well. And while he's doing this big speech, Buffy stops fighting and he lets Lily go, and he comes out and he starts to, looking, he's up in this height looking down on everybody, and he's like, you'll do what you're told, or I'm going to start killing people and whatnot. And Lily, he thinks, her spirit is completely broken at this point. she can just stand there, sort of thing. But Lily steps forward and she pushes him off the ledge onto the concrete floor below, and then she leads the captives back up through the pool as Buffy dispatches Ken. She kills him off at the end of the episode. Once all the humans are out of the demon dimension, the pool gateway closes. So as I say, there's quite a few humans that are, trapped in that hell dimension now, not getting out of it. So it was an interesting little tweak to the end of the story, where Buffy will do her best to save absolutely everybody that she can, and usually she does. But this is the first episode where there's a few extras in the background of this episode that didn't get out at the end of it, but she does save as many people as she can, Lily included. And back at her apartment, Buffy packs her bag and she's ready to head back to Sunnydale, and she gives Lily the Anne badge identity, the uniform for the diner, and she's like, I talked to the boss, he's okay, he's a bit of a weirdo, but he's not that bad, and the rent's paid up to the end of the month. And Buffy gives Lily this chance to survive on her own, but Lily's kind of like, not good at taking care of myself, and Buffy reassures her, it's hard, but it does get a little bit easier, and she heads back to Sunnydale. And I've talked a lot about the Buffy side of this episode, and with the Scooby gang, we have the usual goings on in Sunnydale. The Scoobies are trying to fight the vampires, not doing a very good job of it. They really do need Buffy's help to fight them. There's a bit of comic relief between Xander and Cordelia in this episode, like separately at the beginning of it. The two of them are back at school, haven't seen each other over the summer holidays. She's been away on a cruise with her family, and Xander's just been doing his thing out, helping, trying to kill vampires, getting their asses kicked. And separately, the two of them are excited to see each other, but whenever they do meet for the first time in this episode, they naturally go back to the fighting form of, just been cold towards each other. And it's not till later on in the episode where Xander decides to use Cordelia as bait for the vampires, just out of pure spite, really. But during the fight, this vampire wrestles Xander to the floor, and Cordelia jumps on top of the vampire, and doing that there drives the stake that Xander's holding into the vampire's heart, and he bursts into ash, and the two of them fall on top of each other, and then they end up in this massive kiss, sort of a deal. So there's a bit of comedy relief between those two. Willow is doing her best to be the Slayer in this episode, and Oz is in the mix as well. And Oz always has a good bit of comic relief in this episode as well. There's a fantastic part at the beginning of the episode where they're fighting this vampire, not doing that well at all. The vampire retreats, and he's running across the graveyard to get away, and Oz steps up like superhero status, and he has a stake in his hand, and he's watching the vampire run away from him, and he goes to throw the stake, and he's like, I'm going to take this vampire out at a long distance. So he's like, I'm just going to chuck this stake, and I'm going to stake the vampire, and he's going to explode. But the stake just bounces off a gravestone, and he's like, that really doesn't work. And his delivery on lines in the episodes is very good. It's dry, and it's just that dry humour, as Oz does it well. And the series in general, the only other two main characters that have any real screen time in it is, of course, Buffy's mother, who is reeling from what happened between her and Buffy in the previous episode, and of course Giles being the Watcher, and he's doing his best to try and track Buffy down through any contacts that he has throughout America. He's been flying out to different locations after getting, rumoured stories about a girl tackling vampires. This has to be Buffy, but it's to no avail. Nothing has came of any of these adventures to try and find her. And Xander does say, Giles isn't going to find Buffy until she wants to be found, and that is the case really in this episode. There's a point where Giles and Joyce, Buffy's mother, have a conversation, and this is really the first time that they've interacted a few times up to this point throughout the run of the season 1 and season 2, but this is the first time that Joyce knows the score as far as Buffy being the Slayer. And he's trying to reassure Joyce that Buffy's one of the most strongest people that I've ever known, and I've got no doubt wherever she's at, she isn't in any trouble, and we will find her, sort of a thing. And don't blame yourself for anything, or don't blame yourself, or don't blame Buffy. And Joyce has told him about the last interaction they had was out of pure anger, and they had this massive argument, and she's regretting it and whatnot. And when Giles says don't be blaming yourself, don't be blaming Buffy, she's like, I blame you, sort of thing. So she kind of throws it on to, again, out of anger and hurt, she kind of throws it on to Giles. I blame you for everything that's happened to my family and my daughter and me and whatnot. And he's like, and Giles, you're kind of expecting him to just take it, but he just looks at her and he's like, I didn't make Buffy what she is. And it's a well written episode. So that's kind of what happens in the Scooby Gang side of the episode. But at the very end, of course, Buffy's left LA. She's heading back to Sunnydale. She gets Lily set up with the identity of Anne, gets her set up with a job and a place to live, and back in Sunnydale, Joyce is at home. She hears a knock at the door, and she walks over, answering it, probably expecting it to be Giles or some of the Scoobies, but that's actually Buffy. And she opens the door, Buffy's standing there, they look at each other, and there's no dialogue, doesn't need to be said. Joyce just grabs Buffy and hugs her. That's just the parental response you're expecting right there. You don't need to use words, and a hug will tell the entire story for you. So that's the end of the episode. We close it out there. That's a strong start to this episode. And the demons, again, going by memory, this gang of demons that was running this crazy factory in the hell dimension, I do believe these guys turn up once or twice and spoilers if you don't know the franchise at this point, but there's a spin-off series from this series coming up very soon, and we're going to be doing that on this channel as well. These guys turn up in it as well, so I'm not going to say what the spin-off series is. Obviously if you're listening to this podcast you already know, but just for on the off chance we have got some new people that are new to Buffy the Vampire Slayer that don't know, it's these guys turn up again, if memory serves. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate and review it, and go gentle on me. I am usually tired to the point I've been at death's door by the time I get a chance to sit down to record these episodes, so they could be a heck of a lot better. I do know that. I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm tired and suck most of the time. So rate and review, share it along to your friends, get subscribed or follow, whatever the term would be for a podcast, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Stay safe. This has been a production of Coin